Breaking news. If Putin fires a nuclear missile, Farage says China will wipe him out economically overnight. While trying to mock the Russian president by calling him a proxy for China, Nigel Farage said that the use of nuclear weapons is the last thing Beijing wants. Dr. Roger Gewolb is an expert in geopolitics, macroeconomics, and finance, and he was recently interviewed by the host of GB News. Mr. Farage has been quoted as saying, "Putin is now effectively a proxy for the Chinese Communist Party. I believe the Chinese Communist Party has tremendous influence over Putin, and could easily cause him to go bankrupt overnight. It would be within their power to financially ruin him, but they have no intention of doing so. They can think that far ahead of time. Therefore, I do not believe there is any longer a significant risk of China using nuclear weapons against the rest of the world. Let's cross our fingers and pray that I'm right, because this is a very dire predicament. The Ukrainian counteroffensive against the invading Russian forces has begun. For the final, decisive blow against Putin's men, here are your best bets, as outlined by Stuart Crawford. Neither the reasons Beijing would rather not see Russia use nuclear weapons nor the means by which China could bankrupt Putin were addressed by Mr. Farage. Since Putin's troops invaded Ukraine in February of last year, economic ties between Russia and China have grown stronger than ever. As a result of the economic sanctions imposed on Russia because of its involvement in the war, Putin's country has increasingly turned to China to buy its oil and gas exports. This year, Russian energy exports to China are anticipated to grow by 40%. Shortly before Putin's invasion of Ukraine last year, he signed a no-limits partnership with China's President Xi Jinping. China and Russia formalized their growing economic, agricultural, and sporting partnership in May by signing a series of agreements. Xi met with his dear friend, Putin during his March visit to Russia. While he has not spoken out against Russia's war in Ukraine, China's leader has been advocating for a peace plan since February, which Kyiv has cautiously welcomed. The deployment of tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus that Putin announced earlier this year was widely interpreted as a warning to the West as it bolstered its military support for Ukraine. These weapons are designed to wipe out the enemy and their equipment. Compared to nuclear warheads on long-range strategic missiles that can destroy entire cities, these weapons are much less effective and have a much shorter range. Putin claimed the United States' deployment of nuclear weapons to Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Turkey justified Russia's deployment of similar weapons in Belarus. In February, Moscow made a legally invalid decision to withdraw from the New START nuclear treaty. This treaty discloses the locations of both land-based and submerged ballistic missiles, and authorizes inspections of weapon sites. Each country is also restricted to having no more than 700 operational missiles and bombers and a maximum of 1,550 deployed nuclear warheads. Topics covered by Mr. Farage in the interview include immigration, Brexit, the leadership of Liz Truss, and the re-election prospects of U.S. President Joe Biden. Mr. Farage criticizes today's world leaders, saying they have no practical experience. He said that Ms. Truss, who had the shortest premiership in British history, had the right instincts but was despised by the IMF, the White House, the British Civil Service, Westminster, and the media. He joked, she wanted to shrink the size of the state, and taxation, and, worst of all, to encourage regular men and women to start businesses. When the next U.S. presidential election is held in 2024, Mr. Farage says the economy will be at the forefront of voters' minds. He also claims that the government's position was weakened because Britain waited too long to initiate Article 50 and leave the European Union, allowing globalist forces to build up in opposition. The problem is the Conservatives never believed in it, the former leader of the Brexit Party said. They saw it as an attempt to contain the fallout.